Welcome back to Liquid Lunch here on thatchannel.com. My name is Hildegard Gmeiner. And next we are going to speak about what it takes to be uniquely who we came on this planet to be. And to discuss this process with me, I have Regina Neal here. How can we be the best that we were meant and designed to be, Regina? Thank you so much for being here and sharing your own journey. How did it come about that you came up with this idea? Uniquely is the name of your company.
Thank you for having me. How I came up with the name was because I wanted to focus on the you, like not me, but the you in all of us. Because most of us get lost into all the things that we have to do each day and the people we're around, and we want to be accepted by people. And we get lost as to who we are. We don't realize that we were born unique to be ourselves, to stand out, not to hide away from everybody else, but to stand out and to take our talents and abilities and to share them with the world. Because so many times we get lost in that, right? Because growing up, gonna be like your sister, be like your brother, and we're compared to our siblings. Then we get in school and we're compared to the other kids in school. This one's smarter than you or whatever. And through all of those comparisons, we get lost. So
how can you be uniquely who you are when everybody else tells you what to do, how to be, how to dress? There's every day a new fashion magazine that tells you what color is in and what to do with your hair.
Yes, exactly.
It's very difficult.
Yes, and those magazines are not even truthful because there's a lot of airbrushing and that's going on too. So that's not even truth that we're seeing. So we're trying to live up to an image that's really not even there. Right? So to be unique is to find out who you are, and sometimes that takes a lot of discovery. Like my journey was for years and years and years. I got married at 17 after being a high school dropout, and so that kind of had a stigma on me. I lived with that stigma. Then, so lost in that. Then after 6 years of marriage, I was a single mom. So now I have another stigma. The marriage failed. I'm a failure. Right? So when I was first introduced to a book by Zig Ziglar called See You at the Top, and when reading that, I started then comparing myself to what he was saying. And I was like, is it true? Right? So it challenged me to question the things that I believe to be true, and found out that maybe it was true at one time, but it's no longer true. And some of the things that I believed to be true was not true at all. It was just something I thought of. Like I was shy growing up, and when I was in grade 7, I moved to a new school, and my confidence took a beating there. So again, I'm trying to compete, trying to live up to everybody else's expectation of me. But it wasn't until I was an adult and I was a single mom trying to find my way for my children in that, and learning who am I. Like, what do I want out of life?
Well, this is really an interesting question, because who are we? What makes us tick? Which university, high school, private school, can you actually go to find that out?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Right. Can't find that
at school. We know about all the technology, the cars, our iPads, the phone. People are actually trained in school how to use these devices, but it always bothers me to figure out, nobody actually taught me who I am. I have a right to want something and how to communicate my needs, and to have people actually respect me just for being me.
Exactly.
Like, I find your kind of inquiry very close to home here.
Exactly. Yes, it is hard to find out who you are because, like I said, so much is put on you throughout the years. And even when you had ideas, like I wanted to be a teacher when I was growing up, I didn't get any encouragement to be a teacher. And then in high school, when I was having trouble adapting and my grades weren't so high, I was like, well, I don't feel smart enough to be a teacher now, so I wanted to get out of school as fast as possible, and the next plan was to get married. So.
Well, where do all these beliefs come from, really?
Yeah.
And we take them then for truth.
Yeah. Well, of course, when you're very tiny, you know, you're just a toddler, and you're watching, you're observing, you're looking at anything around you, and you're seeing and then drawing conclusions based on what you see. Like if you see your family who's affectionate and then they touch you and they hug you, so you have that image and those beliefs. But then you see people who don't, then you have another belief of that. So everything, you started with everything you see. It's just all dumped into your mind, all the things you see. Right? And then as we grow a little older, then it's like, okay, this is the way it should be, or this is not the way it should be. And again, it's questioning what you believe. And my journey took a long time, because it's like, well, is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Like, I remember in grade 7 it being experienced with some girls who were really pretty, and they were very snobby. So I formed the conclusion that beautiful women or girls are mean. So I stayed away from them. Right? And I was 30 before I met a group of women who were at a function, and they were all nice. Right? They treated me nice. They treated everybody else with respect, and they were nice to them. So it took that long for me to change my mind about what pretty women and beautiful women are. Right? So just because of the experiences that I had in grade 7. Right? So all of our experiences throughout life gives us that thought as to what things should be. And we don't question it. The same thing, you know, you go to church and you hear things at church too, and you little bits and pieces, but, you know, you never read the Bible and find out, is that true? Right? So you just take it for what it is. And
just because it's written, doesn't mean it is true at all.
Exactly.
Right?
And then the same way it's how you receive it too, translated as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, is it really true?
So what was the point for you then in your life where you said, enough with all of that, now it's my way or the highway?
Well, when I was first exposed to Zig Ziglar, I saw that I had hope, because I was living at the time feeling pretty desperate and like stuck, had no way out. And so when I was exposed to that, it's like, okay, this is what I didn't do. This is what I should have done. Oh, yeah, right. So it was like light bulbs popping off in my head. Mm-hmm. So that just gave me the bug to read more and to listen to cassettes and to learn more of what was out there, what I could be, to discover me and find out who I am. And with my coaching program, I help people shorten that, because for me it was a long process.
So let's talk about that, because we are in a world where we want to have it all yesterday already.
Of course, instant, yes.
You know, the magic pill. Well, we already found out that doesn't work. Yeah. What does it look like? So if I step into your office and I'm just not feeling happy, I'm stuck, I'm frustrated, whatever, where do you begin with people?
Well, first, asking people questions to, tell me about you. And when you ask someone to tell you about you, they can list like 20 things wrong with them. It says, well, tell me something good about you. What do you like about you? And I was like,
is that coming most naturally as to what's wrong rather than...
Oh, yeah. You can tell anybody, you ask anybody, tell me about you, and like they struggle to find something positive to say about themselves. That's very, very common. And it was common with me too. It's like, I can list all the things wrong with me, but it's like, okay, well, what's good about you? What can you bring to the table? So that was kind of what I was thinking. And through my life, I talked to people, because all the things I learned throughout the years, I would share with people that were in situations that I was in, and they would take it and learn from it. So I was already coaching and teaching. So after being laid off from a job 3 times, I decided I wasn't going to go back to work for anybody else, and I was going to create my own business, because the idea had been given to me several years before. And I thought that just people out there that need what I have to offer, because a lot of people are suffering from lack of confidence and the courage to step out of into their life and be who they are, right? And stop worrying about what other people think of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because they were here to make the most of their life, to add to the world, not to take away from it, not to hide away and pretend you're something you're not.
So why do you think this actually is? Why do people feel that they have to focus out there rather than dance to their own drum, so to speak?
Well, I think it's just the way it was the way we were raised, right? by observing and stuff like that. And of course, our parents, meaning well, just pass on the stuff that they were taught, which was passed on from what their parents had learned, right? So, but now with TV and the internet and everything, so everything is bombarding the younger generation. So I think it's getting worse and worse all the time. Right? And now I see young people going around and they're looking at their phones and their tablets, that more so instead of looking at people and carrying on a conversation or meeting a new friend or something or having a smile. Because when I travel the bus, I watch people. Because being shy, you don't carry on conversation, so you sit in the back and you watch.
You observe, and
yes.
That's how you learn a lot, by observing.
Yes.
I could see that.
And they say that body language is a large portion of communication. So with that, it's like you can watch people act and behave, and it's like, okay, like they may be acting like they're got lots of confidence and really strong, but they're not. They're just hiding an inferior image of themselves. And if I put out a strong image, then people are not going to see how scared I am.
So is an image like a facade then?
Oh yeah, it's like wearing a mask, definitely.
Because there's a thing out there, people need to brand themselves.
Oh yes, that's very
So
strong.
what is this? More inauthenticity? Or can you brand yourself with uniquely?
Yes. And that's why my company I named it Uniquely, spelled Y-O-U, because like I said, the focus is on you. Like, forget about the world, it's not as, you don't want to be a part of the world, but as far as when defining yourself, that's like, who was I meant to be? What do I want? What do I like? What makes me happy? Because sometimes the things that make you happy is your path that you should be on down the road, and share those responsibilities. Like, for example, I went to a workshop 2 years ago, I think it was, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And they were talking about writing a book. And I thought to myself, well, no, I couldn't write a book. I was never very good at writing in school. So I was like, I couldn't write a book, and besides, what would I have to say, right? Who would read my book? But, taking it home and going through notes and thinking about it, and it's like, I have a lot of information. I have my workshops, my workbooks that I go through in my workshops. So I can turn that into a book, and I can be an author, right? So it's like, so it was another stepping stone for me to step out of my comfort zone.
When can we have it? What's the title of the book?
It's called The Unique You.
Oh, very good.
Being Your Absolute Best is what it's called.
Yeah.
I'm expecting to be published in June. That's the plan.
Very
It's still
good.
in the
Congratulations.
works. Thank you very much. I'm really excited about it.
Look forward to having you again and chatting
Yes.
more about it.
Awesome.
So now let's be going back. So there is a person who has his list of what's not good enough about me. How do you break through that?
Well, it's finding out where the thoughts had come from, right? And asking, what do you believe to be true, right? So as with me, with the thinking that all pretty women were mean.
Yeah.
Well, the thought came from how some people treated me when I was 12. So therefore, I never gave pretty women an opportunity to be in their presence to prove me wrong, right? So then when I was proved wrong, I was like, well, you know what? Hey, that was wrong. It was a wrong belief in me, right? So the same thing with myself. It's like, am I too tall? Am I too fat? Like, is my hair not the right color? And many times we criticize what we are physically too, because we think, I wish I was thinner. I wish I looked like her, or whatever. But it's like, no, you are you. Accept who you are. Make the most. Look your best. Make the most. That will project confidence. And just keep asking yourself. And with my clients, it says, whenever an idea comes up that you're thinking about, even when you're not with me, say, is it true? Right? Is it true for me? And maybe it was true one time, but it's not true today.
Yes, so beliefs change.
Yes.
I might have believed that I'm ugly, but right now I can entertain the notion that maybe I'm not.
Right.
And besides, if I am, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Right?
like, you can work with what you have and make the most of it.
Yes.
And accept it. Because if we keep focusing on the one thing, like I used to hate my freckles when I was growing up because they were really, really bad. And in the springtime, they'd blossom, they'd almost touch, I'd have so many freckles. But some people didn't even notice my freckles.
And some find them utterly attractive.
Exactly. So it's like, well, you know what? It makes me unique.
Right.
It makes me who I am. It gives me something. So then I stopped learning to hate my freckles and accepted them for they are what they are. So hating them is not going to make them go away. Loving them will just make them more radiant. Like, this is me.
So listening to you, it seems there's a lot of inner work that has to happen.
Yeah. Well, all the thoughts and that make you feel who you are all came from inside. Like, first we see it outside or we hear it from somebody, but then we receive it internally. And we repeat those things to ourselves on a continual basis. So you want to change what you're repeating to yourself.
So if somebody can totally identify watching us now, what can somebody do to stop this non-productive inner dialogue from going on and on and on? Yeah. How can you get the brakes on that one?
Well, again, it's the questioning it. Is it true? And then changing what they think. A lot of people do negative self-talk. They say, oh, I'm so stupid. Like, why did I do that? Oh, I can't believe I did that. That's like, change what you think. It says, I am smart. I'm intelligent. I have a brain. I can do anything. Right? I believed that I wasn't smart enough to go to school, to be a teacher. But yet, in 2011, after being laid off from the second job, I decided to go to college and study hard to get honors for my 2-year program. And I did it. So it's like, hey, I am smart enough. Right? So now I have a diploma that says I finished school. Right? But really, it didn't change me at all. It's just another piece of paper on the wall.
It was just you showing to yourself that you're actually able to do whatever you want to do.
Right. It means nothing to nobody else, just me. That I could do it at my senior mind, that I can still do this. Right? So and even being interviewed, I mean, this is something I would never do. Well,
we talked earlier about, I like to be in my little turtle house sometimes with my poetry and my writing. My neck inside, not really peeking out too much.
Yes. And that's good. Sometimes we need to be alone and be away and to recoup and regenerate our batteries. We don't have to be out there on display all the time. But, there's a time when you can't stay there all the time, because then you're denying the world the best part of you.
Now let's go and talk a bit of philosophy, because I can tell you up to that. What is your take on how this world has turned so far with women's liberation and women's rights and all of that? I have a sense that women may be more bothered with negative self-talks than men, or is this just a blunt generalization that is not true?
I think with women it's more obvious, but men hide it better. But I think that
it's equally there?
Yeah, I think it's pretty strong in men too, because most of the time men will get angry to get people to back off from challenging them or questioning them. So that's their first defense mechanism, is to get angry. Whereas women tend to be quiet and go away.
Okay.
Right? So, but I think that if it's not equal, it's still pretty big in the men as well.
And is it unique to our time, or do you think this is something that, our parents had to struggle with as well? Or was it just not an option? You are doing what you're doing because this is what society expects. Is this a new thing, I guess is what I'm asking here? That people question, who am I, what am I here for, what am I doing here anyway?
Yeah. I think that perhaps in the olden days that question was there, but I think it's more prevalent today because there's so much bombarding at us, telling us who we are, who should be. Like, we should be beautiful like the magazine's women, right? When they're not even real, they're airbrushed. So they're not,
and everybody knows it too. That's a ridiculous part.
Right. But even the women that are on there aren't living up to who they are on the magazine.
Right.
Right. So, and it's just everybody, the media and everybody's got something to sell. They are just bombarding us with images of that we are not good enough. And more women's magazines out there that tell us that we need to lose weight, please him, wear this and do that, and so many things. It's just bombarding us all the time. So we got to stop and say, hey, just like you don't want to watch the news a lot because there's so much negativity on the news. You don't want to be looking at these magazines either for the negativity that's there, because like even though it shows the beautiful women, there's still a lot of negativity.
So then when one has a coach such as you, that's a good thing. So once a week or so, one might have that interaction and that positive, inspiring conversation with somebody.
Yes.
How can you then keep it going? Let's say today's Friday, from Friday to Friday, to not be sucked into the negativity and the glooms and doom by the people surrounding us.
Yeah. And it's knowing what you want and knowing what makes you happy. Because if you don't know that, then you'll just get dragged along with everybody else's. Because if you don't know what you want in life, you're going to be living someone else's life. And so knowing that I want to help people and make them feel better about themselves, is now taking me down the path of creating my business and doing the workshops and private coaching, because I can help people. So it's been in my heart for a long time. I've done it.
And what kind of profession were you in before? Was that part of it? Like, were you in the service industry, or did that have nothing to do with helping people per se?
Yeah, well, I've been customer service and admin support and office support, and those kind of positions. So, of course, with customer service, I'm taking care of the customer.
Right.
So that kind of nurturing. But I was the eldest of 7, so I helped raise the last couple of children, taking care of them that my mother had. And then with my own children, and even helping, even in high school, like some people who are having trouble with math, I would spend the time helping with them with their work, instead of doing my own. So I take my home and do it at night.
So it's been like a kind of a thing
path,
going on all your life.
Yeah.
So what I hear you say is, if you're not happy where you're at, look at what gives you joy.
Yes.
And it's what you do that gives you the highest joy, that gives you a clue as to what you ought to do more of.
Yes.
And find a way to create a position for yourself in life where you can eventually get remunerated for it as well.
Yes, it'd be awesome if you could work at something that you love to do, that if money wasn't an option, you would do it anyway. Right? So if, most people are not blessed because, when you go looking for a job, you think, okay, who's hiring? You don't stop and think, well, what kind of a job do I want? Right? Okay, I want to work in this field, so go and only look for businesses that offer this position. Mm-hmm. But, in the times that I was laid off, I was like, okay, I need an income, so let me find a job. But I should have been working in something that helps people and, empowers people, because that is my passion, is to making people feel better about themselves or helping them find their own identity.
So this process of self-inquiry, obviously everybody is unique, but are there like certain specific steps that people will go through to get to understand a little bit more about themselves? I mean, especially we talked previously with the gentleman here about trauma, and things happen in life and you feel so overwhelmed you don't even know where to begin. You're physically ill, you're emotionally not well, you're just not very productive. Life sucks.
Oh, yes.
So in this kind of a headspace, it's sometimes hard to find out maybe, what do I love? Yeah. What's good about life?
Yes. And if you know, like if you've had some coaching and stuff like that, then you know it in advance, then you can handle those things easier. Mm-hmm. Because I used to be a scrapper. Like, my first husband, and if he said anything, I'd fight back. I was not going to take anything from him. And even the second one. But the third relationship I was in is like, okay, I have a choice. I can fight back, and it's going to go nowhere anyway, because, nothing ever good comes from an argument, like when people are really fighting, not physically, but verbally, which is pretty dangerous. So I had stopped arguing after, and one time when we were arguing, it was really, really heated. And we were dating at the time, so he had left. And he went up to the door, and out of frustration, I just stood in the middle of my living room, and I just shook myself. It's like, I shake off all this negativity. I don't want it, because I was understanding about the positive and negative energy. And so I shook it all up, and I was like, oh, it was like, I shook off a ton of clothes. It was like so refreshing. And I thought, all right, now if he had to come back into the door 2 minutes after he had walked out, he would have found a new woman.
Right. So it's fear versus self-love.
Yeah.
Shake the old off and get a focus on with something new.
Yes. Focus on what you want, what makes you happy, and not to the extent of excluding everybody. I'm not talking about being selfish of excluding everybody. I'm talking about just, sometimes we go along and do things with our friends when really we want to be doing something else.
Right.
So it's knowing, it's like, you know what, this don't serve me. So, you go have a good time. I need to be doing this right now.
So really feel within, what is it at any moment that you feel you enjoy doing, and then you develop the trust that it will lead you in a new direction.
Yes. And at first, the feeling is going to be scary.
Oh, very scary, because it's the unknown, right?
Yeah. But as you practice it more and more, and it's like you can do it. You don't have to feel guilty because you had to say no to somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can feel empowered because it's like, I'm doing something that's for me.
Wow.
Right? I don't have to be worried about, what's this person going to think?
Well, this is it. The minute the focus gets inward, it can be very empowering.
Yes.
It may cause some upheaval in the process of shifting from having been outwardly focused to turning the gaze inward.
Yes.
Where are you located? And is there any workshops, events coming up? We are almost out of time here.
Okay. Well, I do workshops at Bay and Bloor. Mm-hmm. And I also work in people's homes, too. Like if it's a family that I'm working with, like maybe the mother, the father, children.
Yeah.
I find that very rewarding because now everyone gets to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. But people can reach me at my website. It's www.uniquely.biz, and uniquely is spelled YOUNIQUELY.biz. So I can be reached there for sure.
Great. Thank you so very much for having been with us. And we
look
forward for you to come back.
Excellent.
Once your book is out. And the title of that is The Unique You.
Yes. How to be your absolute best.
Wow. Well, that's what we are all striving for. And
exactly.
I'm sure that there's a lot of interest in that.
Yes.
Because I certainly could relate to what you were saying today.
Thank
you.
So
thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So please stay with us here on Liquid Lunch on thatchannel.com. We take a small break, and then we are going to talk about karma DNA. Thank you so much. See you soon.